Sorry. You do it.
There is love in this place. Whenever two or more of us gathered in His name, I found the world is all the same.
A good night to everyone. This is Level Up Your Marriage with Paul and Raquel Blake, coming from out of Jamaica. We are indeed happy to be here for another enlightening and enthralling program. We indeed give God thanks for the opportunity that we have to be able to share with couples from everywhere about marriage and the plan that God has for His church and family. Another Level Up Your Marriage. How are you doing, Raquel? It is raining in Jamaica.
Yes, it is raining. I'm doing very well. Welcome, everybody. Welcome.
Yes.
This evening, we are rolling out the red carpet for our spouses.
Rolling out the red carpet for your spouse.
Yes.
Are you giving your spouse the VIP treatment? And that's an interesting topic, Raquel. Are you giving your spouse the VIP treatment? And everybody loves to be a VIP, don't it?
Yes.
A very important person. And if you go some places, don't you see they have VVIP? Very important person.
Yes.
And who is a VVIP more than your spouse?
Indeed.
And so
that's how it should
that's
be.
a topic we want to discuss tonight. Rolling out the red carpet for your spouse. And remember, wherever you are joining from, you can engage us. You can type in the chat and we will respond with a comment or a question. And you can also email us at a different time if you choose, at levelupyourmarriagecoc at gmail.com. That's levelupyourmarriagecoc at gmail.com. And so let us get into it, Raquel. So in all our many areas of life, people treat their guests, their different guests, with care and respect. And the term is they roll out the red carpet. If you were watching the Oscars, I think it was last week, where they were giving out awards for different movies and TV programs. And just before the award begins, there is a whole red carpet scenario where the actors, they walk the red carpet and they get their pictures taken. They do interviews and all of the fashion.
Yes, they show up there.
come out, and it must be a good feeling to be in that place when you know that you have put in the work and now you are being celebrated for the work that you have put in. So the red carpet experience, and you work in the corporate world. Sometimes you give your clients the red carpet treatment. And
yes, so red carpet is not only for rock stars.
It's not only for rock stars. and when a client gets the red carpet treatment, that's not a normal client.
Yes.
Right? That's a client that spends big.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Indeed.
And so, you treat them a particular way and you give them certain privileges when you go into sometimes the bank or certain financial institutions. They have different levels of customer relations. If you're a pensioner, you're treated a particular way, and if you have some strong cash, you're treated
assets.
a particular way. So I mean, the red carpet treatment is all around.
Yes, and
it's
I
all
think,
around.
and I
Yes.
think everybody, has a good appreciation for it and understands it.
Yes.
So why shouldn't the red carpet treatment be extended in marriage too?
But the truth is, Raquel, it oftentimes doesn't translate into marriage. Marriage oftentimes,
Well, I think it begins in marriage. Usually, it begins that way.
yeah, well, it starts
usually
out that
begins
way.
that way.
Well, in the dating and the courtship phase,
Yes.
the red carpet treatment is often, you pull out all the stops, if you want to say that.
Yes.
Right.
Pull out all the stops.
You spare no expense. And so the question though, why is it that this same kind of treatment that is given in courtship and in dating, why doesn't it translate also into the marriage, and especially marriages that extend for a long time? What are we want to look this evening at? What are some of the possible things why the red carpet treatment is not shown in marriage?
But I guess we have to look like we want to start by discussing what the VIP treatment looks
What?
like.
Well, true,
So you
true.
can identify when
Well,
it
start
starts.
us off. What does the VIP treatment look like?
Well, as we said earlier, it's about attention, paying attention to the details, about respect, kindness, thoughtfulness in everyday interaction. So it doesn't have to be extravagant gifts all the time or constant grand gestures, but there has to be intentionality, consistently demonstrating that your spouse matters to you deeply. Do you agree?
Well, true. Yes, I agree. I would want to also suggest that, because many times when we have this kind of discussion about the red carpet treatment, a lot of times we tend to come away thinking that only women, only wives are interested in the red carpet treatment.
Yes, I thought about
But
that too.
we want to make it very clear that the red carpet treatment extends both ways.
Both ways.
Right?
Both ways.
Both in the marital relationship, both parties should feel special, should feel that they are the most important person to your spouse, and be treated in the same way.
Yes.
Right?
You go above and beyond.
You go above and beyond. And it comes back to a statement that Jesus makes, Raquel, in the book of Matthew, when Jesus says, love thy neighbor as thyself. And that particular text carries also the idea of treating people with the VIP treatment. Right?
Indeed.
And the neighbor here doesn't mean the person that lives next door to you, but really the persons that you interact with on a daily basis. And Jesus says that when you come in contact with such persons, that you ought to roll out the red carpet for them. And I like what the implication is also, because one of the implications from that text is that the VIP treatment is given not to persons based on their station, right? But based on the fact that they are human.
Based on their humanity,
right?
yes.
So you treat people based on their humanity. And so this idea of loving the neighbor as thyself is something that can also extend in marriage. Right?
Ought to, it should be.
You treat your spouse the way that you want to be treated, right? And I find many times, Raquel, where we fall down on that is that many times we know how we want to be treated, but
and we demand it.
And the other thing that goes with that too is that if I am not being treated this way, then I am going to withhold, right? So if you don't treat me a particular way, I am not going to treat you a particular way. It's kind of a tit for tat,
yes,
kind of thing. But yeah, what do you have to say about that?
That's why it requires intentionality. It requires consistent effort.
Yeah.
And so the VI treatment includes listening carefully.
Yeah, true.
The same way I would want you to listen to me carefully, then
true.
I should be listening carefully
True.
to you. It involves speaking respectfully. and showing appreciation on a regular basis, not only on my birthday or on or anniversary or some special occasion, but regularly, all the time, showing appreciation, showing respect, and of course, this helps marriages to be stronger and healthier.
Yes. I like the idea of making your spouse feel like they matter. I think that for me is one of the strong points, because as human beings, we all like to feel like we like the feeling of being important.
Being important.
I matter to you, and if I know that I matter to you, then I am going to pull out,
You're gonna go the extra mile.
the extra mile. I'm going to do all that I can to show how important you are, because you are also showing to me that I matter to you.
Yes.
That's really an interesting idea. In Philippians chapter 2, verse 3 to 4, I like what this text says. It says, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain deceit or conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves." And this is one of the sticking points of marriage. And we see it every day when we counsel persons in marital relationships. The level, I honestly believe that selfishness destroys more marriages than anything else.
That's true. You
Right?
might be right.
Yeah, selfishness. Because and even sometimes, Raquel, to the point that even the party that is wrong, sometimes that is wronged, right? Not the party that is wrong, the one that is wronged, right? Even the party that is wronged sometimes can't get past their level of selfishness, even to the point where they would
to reconcile.
unable to for me it seems sometimes that they would be willing even to destroy the relationship, because they can't see past their selfishness, and that whole, that the Bible is right. When Paul wrote to the Philippian church, and he said, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. What Paul is getting at is that I must be willing to put myself, and you remember what Jesus said, what John said to when Jesus was coming into ministry and John met him. You remember what John said? John says, I must decrease that he can increase.
Yes.
And I think the same idea also comes to marriage, that when one of the things that makes marriage strive is for me to be willing to put myself on the back burner sometimes.
Yeah.
For me to become less of my ego, if you want to put it that way, so that you can grow and the relationship can strive. And if I am focused on doing that, then I can also trust that Raquel is going to be doing the same thing when it comes to my my health in the relationship.
Yeah. So the mindset is that I have your back and you have my back.
I have your back, you have mine.
Yes.
Right? And this is what Paul says, let nothing be done out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. That a part of giving your spouse a VIP treatment is to allow your spouse to know that you have their back regardless of what happens.
Yes.
Right?
You're right.
So, and it is, I think it is something that is learned. It's not something that comes to us naturally. As human beings, I think that we are selfish. Babies are naturally selfish. Babies only think of themselves, and many of us don't grow out of the baby stage. What are some of the ways, as we talk, what are some of the ways that spouses can unintentionally stop treating each other as special?
Well, you see, that's why, like you said earlier, that it's we tend to be selfish, and so to learn this behavior, to learn this attitude in terms of marriage and in terms of giving each other the VIP treatment, it requires, effort, and it can begin by in small ways.
Yes, true.
Small actions
True.
that are done consistently, regularly, that sends a message that you're important to me. You matter, as you said.
Yes.
It can begin by sharing sincere compliments, or like you asked in terms of the question, sometimes it's done unintentionally where you just begin to take each other for granted. And so in terms of overcoming the selfishness, in terms of taking small actions on a regular basis, then you begin to move from unintentionally treating your spouse with disrespect to treating your spouse like a VIP.
Yeah.
So
I want to interject because, just as you said that, something came into my mind. The commercialized world that we live in,
yes,
where there is a dollar value attached to everything, even acts of kindness, there is a dollar value attached to it. And many times, as spouses, we are under the grave misconception that treating our spouses, giving our spouses a VIP treatment, there must be some kind of monetary value that comes from it, and that's not true.
That's not true.
So you don't give your spouse a VIP treatment if you can't buy them a diamond ring, a diamond chain. You can't.
Or if they don't expect a diamond chain in return.
Or you can't go off
on
a cruise weekend for two at the most expensive hotel. Or if you can't have fine wine and dining every week and all of that. And we're not suggesting that these things are not important, because they are important. And if you can afford to do it, why not? But this is not what makes marriage. And as you rightly said a while ago, it begins with the small acts. And the truth is, Raquel, I would also suggest that it begins with some of the very things that we take for granted daily. And we would have discussed on the program before that when couples, and we find it a lot of times, the longer marriage goes on, the more comfortable we become. The more comfortable we become, we also become complacent.
Yes.
And the very small acts that used to drive our spouses, when the longer we are married, we seem to forget those things. And just to open the door, many couples don't even tell each other good morning.
Or thank you.
Well, I begin with good morning.
Okay.
I mean, and why I begin with good morning? Your spouse is somebody that you naturally spend your whole time with. You sleep together. 90% of couples sleep together. And this familiarity sometimes, because you're sleeping with this person 8 hours for the night and all of that. And sometimes the fact, just the getting up and saying good morning is something that many couples don't practice. And good morning makes a difference.
Everywhere.
Good morning makes a difference. Telling as simple as we think it is, telling your spouse good morning it makes a difference, right? It makes your spouse feel valued.
That you see me.
That you see me.
I see you.
Right? I am important.
Yes.
Right? And I think it's something that we ought not to take for granted. Thank you. Your spouse looks after dinner. Your spouse goes to the supermarket. Your spouse cleans up the yard, sweeps out the house, clean the house, wash the clothes, pick up the clothes, iron the clothes. Simple good morning. Good thank you.
Thank you.
You're asking for something. Please. Can you please? They seem to be very simple things, but they are part of what makes the VIP treatment special.
Correct. Because you talk about saying good morning and thank you and please, and we do that everywhere else.
Yes,
We
true.
do that at work, even with strangers in the supermarket, at the gas station.
Yes.
And so that is under the danger of taking our spouses for granted. Because really, and the marriage relationship is so important that we can't afford to take it for granted.
True.
And so we encourage couples to be mindful of complacency,
Yes.
the danger of complacency, because it can really wreak havoc in marriages.
Yes, true.
Yeah.
But do we realize how we treat people that we want to impress? When we
Go over the top?
yes, man, when we want to impress somebody, whether at work or at school
Or a visitor
or
coming to your house.
a visitor coming to your
Or your
house,
office.
we pull out all of the stops to make sure that we impress them. Question: who should you want to impress more than the person that you are spending your
rest
life
of your life with,
right?
yes.
That you don't take for granted. I would also want to say that the VIP treatment also involves complimenting your spouse, right? Rather than complaining about the big belly that your husband have. I mean, find something about him to compliment. Yeah,
look, pull on each other's,
pull on the
strengths
strengths that we have.
rather
Yes.
than the being critical.
He might have a big belly after 15 years of marriage, but that is not the only thing that he has. Right? It's
has many great qualities.
right. Yes, you might have. Well, I hope you didn't marry him for your physique, because we know that we change physically, and this is not in any way suggesting that we should be comfortable being looking and feeling unhealthy, but the Bible, Paul, when Paul wrote to the church in Colossae, and I think in chapter 3, somewhere about verse 17 or 18, Paul says, let your speech be what? Be seasoned with salt, full of what? Grace.
For the hearers.
We understand that in terms of interpersonal relationships in the church. But how often do we take the same attitude when it comes to our spouses? To speak with grace, to allow our speech to build up, to lift up rather than tear down.
Yes, to express appreciation.
Because the VIP treatment, yes, it has actions, but the VIP treatment, I believe, begins with speech.
With many words.
With many words. How you use those words, right? Taking your spouse for granted, it communicates a sense of indifference, right?
Yes.
That and this indifference, Raquel, can get to a point where it becomes very toxic. Right? One of the things about human beings, and you'll hear couples complain about it in our marriage sessions, that when they are treated with indifference over time, it gets to a point where, because of the indifference, this person kind of just absorb it, and it really, they reach a point where it doesn't even bother them anymore.
There's resentment.
Yeah, and then it builds up into resentment and anger. Yes. And that in turn is acted out, right? I was telling a gentleman, I think it was last week, and I've said it many times when we are doing marriage seminars and so forth, that one of the dangers about marital counseling, especially where women are concerned, usually we don't see men showing up for counseling until it is almost too late. And I had to say to a gentleman, not in a counseling session, we were just talking, I had to say to him that don't let it get to the point where your wife says that it is finished and she can't do anymore. Because when she says that, no matter what you do, it is not going to change her mind. Because all along she has been asking you, let us do this to address the issues that we are having in our marriage.
Yeah.
And you are the one that consistently builds a wall in the whole thing. You are the one that consistently um, will not budge from your position, and your wife is moving to a place now where she's getting that place where she is now going to wrap up, right?
That's a wrap.
And said that's a wrap. And I find in terms of rolling out the VIP treatment, and we talk about this many times, the whole idea of listening,
Listening.
right? Listening to what so I think sometimes when even in our relationships, when we interpret things that we are supposed to be listening to as complaints,
Because
right?
we don't stop to
Because
we don't
we
hear.
don't stop the process. And note, it's a two-way street, because I think that the person that is speaking also should be careful of the message that you are sending. But this whole idea of listening is very important. There's nothing that destroys a relationship than to feel that you are not being heard,
True.
right? So this idea of the VIP treatment begins with, being heard.
But we said earlier, and we want to emphasize that point, that small acts, just a small act of listening
Yeah.
has a big effect.
Yes,
You know,
true.
and it should communicate honor.
Yes.
It should communicate respect. So, as we always say, that we have two ears.
Yeah. True.
Two
Yeah.
ears and one mouth. So we should pay attention to listening attentively.
Yes.
Listening. Not listening to understand.
And not to correct.
And
And
exact-
or to retaliate.
Yes. So listen to understand.
And
And that makes such a big difference.
it comes
now.
out in Paul again says in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 11, he says, encourage one another and build up one another. And again, for me, it is so interesting that we find application for these passages in everyday relationships, especially when it comes to how we treat each other in the church.
Yes.
But somehow we can't see the application of this very same passage in our marriages, in our relationships. The whole idea of encouraging one another and building up one another. When we talk about rolling out the red carpet for your spouse, how often do we focus on encouraging one another and building up one another? We find it so easy, Raquel, to encourage the people around us to aspire for greatness. But it is one of the most difficult things when it comes to our spouses.
You're right. You're right. And, I also just want to, big you up at this point, because, there are many times that you have encouraged me to, to do so many things. And it is a part of the reason, it's a part of the strength of our relationship, where, you encourage me to write a book, you encourage me to do my master's, you have encouraged me in so many ways, and in big ways, small ways and in big ways. And that makes a difference. And it's the element, it's so important, the element of taking small actions that have big results, because we take these little things for granted.
True.
But they
Yes, true.
make a big difference.
True.
Ask any couple, ask any wife,
Yes.
or wife who is in a troubled marriage,
Yes.
the importance of just listening, how that could have made a difference in a troubled relationship.
Yes.
Where if the husband or wife just took the time to listen, to pay attention.
It's one of the most distressing things to be speaking to couples and hear them say things like their spouse don't respect their abilities. The spouse doesn't encourage them. You'll hear spouses say that they can never do anything right.
Yes.
For their spouses, because no matter what they are doing, there's no appreciation, there's no thanks, there's no celebration.
They feel undervalued.
Right, they feel undervalued. And again, and what I find interesting, Raquel, sometimes when spouses make these kind of comments, these are spouses also who have children. And these same spouses will be focusing on telling the children and implementing their children about aspiring for greatness, pursuing careers and being the best at everything. And these same, and whether, and it goes both ways, wives, husbands. It is so, they find it so very easy to do that for their children, but so very hard when it comes to how they deal with each other, right? And I find it
it's troubling, you know.
It's troubling, and I think that it destroys a lot of marriages. When you have been married for 15, 20 years, and in that 20 years, your spouse loses their whole celebration of you as a human being, as a person. Because remember, you know, this is the same person that you would have gotten married to, who had so much potential at the beginning, potential that would have attracted you to that spouse.
Yeah.
And you would have celebrated these things in the earlier stages of your relationship. But as time progresses, you lose all of that. And so there's no more celebration, there is no more complimenting, there's no more just lauding over the person.
You know, so what I'm hearing you say, you know, I think it's good if we pause here just to share, you know, some words or phrases, some comments that sends a message. I love you, you matter. That you know, what are some words or phrases that we can use that demonstrate the concept of rolling on the red carpet?
Yes.
So, you know, I'm proud of you.
True, yes.
I see the effort that you're making.
I see true.
You know, that's a phrase, that's a
Yes.
comment that we can use all the time. I see the effort that you're making.
Yes.
Because like we said, celebrating, some spouses don't feel that some partners don't feel that their spouses value as I said, their effort or value their skills and abilities. So making a sentence like this, I see the effort you're making. It makes a difference.
And you just begin that, find one thing that you can compliment your spouse about every day.
Yes, you know.
Right? As simple as it is, just find something that you can compliment your spouse about. Just if it's even a reminder, right? Husbands spend a lot of time telling their wives that they should lose weight, but you never find time to compliment her when she's exercising. I says, so, honey, keep at it. You're and again, Raquel, these things we just take them for granted, and it comes back again to selfishness. It's always about what I want.
Yes, but you see, when we started earlier, we mentioned that also one way we show the VIP treatment is speaking respectfully.
Speaking respectfully.
So you know, another phrase that can be used is when there's some disagreement or some disrespect happens. I'm sorry for the way I spoke to you.
Yeah, true.
Just that phrase can make a difference. You know, you deserve respect. Can we try again? Let's start over. Let's do a do-over. You know. So that's one of the phrases that. So we're just sharing some phrases, some sentences that you can use to send the message that I'm rolling out the VIP carpet for you. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. That's good.
I appreciate you.
That's another one.
Well, how can I support you today?
How can I support you today?
Practically or emotionally. Your opinions matter to me.
Yes.
It makes a difference when I hear from you. Tell me what you think. Rather than nobody wants to feel that you're shutting them up.
Yes. Yeah, honey, that's a
Good job. That's a good idea.
That's right.
Let's pursue some more. You know, so these are phrases, sentences that can make a difference as you roll out the red carpet for your spouse. What small, we're putting out a challenge at this time. What small acts can you demonstrate that sends a message to your spouse that you're valued? So think about it, husband. Think about it, wife. What's one small act that you can do over tomorrow, tonight?
Yes.
That sends a message. I'm rolling out the red carpet for you.
Yes. And speech, Proverbs 18:21.
Yes,
the tongue has the power of life and death. And I honestly believe, in my years of experience as a married man and as a counselor, I tell you, this tongue that God has given us is a fountain of life and death.
Spit fire.
Because
bring life.
I don't think that there's anything in this world that has destroyed marriages and relationships than words.
Can't take them
And
back.
one of the things, and right as you said, one of the things that about words is that when they are spoken, even if you apologize, it still has a sting that is oftentimes not forgotten very easily.
True.
And we spoke about that in the book that we wrote. It's not rocket science. There's an entire chapter dedicated to the power of words,
Yes.
because words are important. When you say things, and Jesus says, you would have heard me say this many times, and it's something that I strongly believe in. I don't believe in slips of the tongue.
So it's
People
on your heart
people
or
tell
on
me
your
that
mind already.
it slipped out. I don't believe in slips of the tongue. I believe that whatever you say, it is something that is in your heart. You might not mean to say it at the time, but it is something that is conceived in your heart.
Heart, yes.
It doesn't just slip out. And so it becomes very necessary for us to weigh our words, especially when it comes to our spouses. Right? It is difficult to treat your spouse with the VIP treatment when your words doesn't match your actions. Right? You can't be bringing your wife roses when you have just dehumanized her, because at that point in time your roses don't mean much.
Exactly.
Right? And you have, I think that, and it works both ways. And I think I was saying this some weeks ago, in speaking, especially when it comes to women. And I've heard many husbands also express this, that nobody can bring them down as much as their wives, because this is the person that they love. I've heard men express that somebody will say something to them and it means nothing, and they move on, and their wife might say the same thing, and it destroys them.
Yes.
Right? Because that relationship is different, right? And so our words, our speech is something that we have to watch and be very cautious with the words that we use.
So how do you, somebody who is short-tempered or ill-tempered, what's an advice that you could give
I
somebody
have
who's
a general rule. If you say it in your head and it doesn't sound good, saying it out aloud will not make it sound any better. Right?
Right, you're right.
And we know exactly what goes on in our own minds. And we know that when we say it in our minds, and we know exactly how it sounds. As a matter of fact, not only do we know exactly how it sounds, we also know the very impact that it's going to have. Right? We know the effect that it's going to have. And so my general rule, that if you say it in your head and it don't sound good, saying it out aloud is not going to make it sound any better. So it is better you keep it to yourself. Wait until you calm down, wait until you are able to process and so forth. And then you can find a way to say what you're going to say.
Yes. Agreed. I think it's so important that we want to send a balanced message, because some persons have challenging, managing their speech, managing their emotion, and others need help in terms of different ideas, different ways to communicate. So we want to make sure that we are sending a good balance here, where for those who are having challenge, we give you some ideas. For those who are slow in getting there, we give you some ideas, because really it's an effort. It takes time, it involves effort, and we want to let you know that you're not alone. We have these sessions regularly and weekly.
And it's something that is learned, because again, I can use myself as an example. You know that I have the kind of personality where I mean, my mind, I think on my feet. And so somebody will say something to me and I have an answer right away. That's how my mind works. And I have learned over the years, it has taken me a very long time to do it, that I don't need to respond to everything. And so I am at the place now where people can say things to me and I don't respond because I know that if I respond, it's going to make the situation worse.
Yes.
No, note, it don't work all the time, right? But I think that I'm better at it now than I was before.
Yes,
so it is
right.
something that is learned.
Yes, you're right.
And you have to learn to let go.
Let go, and also, and like you have a very good point you made, because you know one of the advice my mother gave me when I was getting married is that, just like you said, you don't have to answer.
You don't have to answer everything.
You don't have to answer everything, because if you want peace to reign in your home, some things you have to let go.
Have you ever heard? Have you ever spoken to a couple or had a conversation with a couple before, Raquel, where they might relate to you that they were supposed to go out and have a very good time, and plans have been put in place and everything, and both of them are looking to go out and have a wonderful time, and somebody says something. Somebody just says the wrong thing, and that destroys the entire planning process and the anticipation of what is to come. And I think that is possibly one of the most disappointing things that could ever happen, right? And so it really takes for us to be very conscious of and you know, sometimes when we have these kind of conversations and it comes out as an attack on the other person, when it's not even an attack, it's sometimes your own personal frustrations that you have not dealt with.
Correct.
Right?
You're right.
So giving your spouse the VIP treatment also involves that you must understand who you are as a person.
Yes. You're right. You're right. You know, so this leads us to another point where, you know, in terms of respect and honor in
respect and honor
in everyday interactions.
Yeah, true, very true.
You know, as you made that point, when there's respect and honor in the daily interactions, so when there are off moments, when there are off moments, we'll understand that it might be a bad day, it might be frustration, and so you're easy to forgive. It's much easier to forgive and to let go. However, when there's constant disrespect, constant dishonor, then it becomes harder now.
Yeah.
Like you shared earlier, you're planning to go out, you're making the plans, and some wrong word or some comment was made that spoil, or
might be an unkind action or something
so
of the sort.
So it becomes harder now if there's constant disrespect, constant, you know. But once there's an element of respect and honor in your daily interaction, then it becomes easier to forgive the mistakes, forgive those encounters that leave a bad taste in your mouth.
That seems to be one of the foundation principles to make sure that you are building a relationship that is based on respect and honor for each other.
Yes,
right?
I agree.
And I don't think that you can spend too much time doing that, because we live in a world, Raquel, where there is so much disrespect and everything all around that it comes second nature to us, right? And that is something that should not take place in marriage.
Exactly.
You know, Ephesians 4:29, let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but what is good for necessary edification, and that is important. So, God's speech. Another one, Raquel, as we wrap up time, prioritizing your spouse above competing demands. And this is again something that we spoke about in the past.
Yes.
There are so many things competing for our attention, right? Job, children, work, school,
entertainment,
family, so many things that they are just coming at us, right? We need to be able to compartmentalize and put things.
Prioritize, the word.
Yes, prioritize. Put some things in file 13, right? Some things that not everything needs to get your full attention.
Correct.
Right.
And of course, using the word no.
Yes. Oh Lord, that is something that we find very difficult to you today in today's world. Say no, because we oftentimes think that when we say no, many of us feel guilty. Say no, and you feel as if you have done a great injustice to somebody because but sometimes for the betterment of your relationship, you have to say no.
You have to say no,
right?
Or
not yet.
Or not yet. Not
right?
at this
not
time.
At this time.
Not
right?
at this time.
Yeah, that's important.
So, so treating your spouse as a priority.
Yeah, spending time making a connection.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That connection is important. As spouses, connection is priority. Right? And it is very easy to lose that connection, right? And we have to I think when we talk about connection should be something that is deliberate. It doesn't happen by accident.
No,
right?
It doesn't happen by accident.
It doesn't happen by magic, right?
It doesn't happen by good intention.
Yeah, and it doesn't happen by good intention. It happens by deliberate action.
Yes.
Right?
And so, as we're talking about, prioritizing your spouse above competing demands, I was listening to a video earlier this week, and it was the point. One of the points being made is that sometimes you have to schedule the time, because if you don't schedule it with all the competing demands, it might not happen. So your date night or your family night or the connection time, it's necessary that you schedule it and prioritize it, because in this fast-moving world, in the pace that we're all at, if we don't schedule it, it doesn't get done. It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I
say
agree.
That's boring. Or that's.
I mean, many people kind of see that as not being very realistic, and especially sometimes you tell persons, in marriage workshops, you will tell couples that sometimes even you have to schedule even sex sometimes, not all the time. And so that's a whole other discussion that we're going to have.
Some person's lifestyle is just so busy.
It is what it is, right? Because the truth is, if you don't buckle down and
take control of your life, your circumstances,
your life is going to spin out of control, and it's going to spin out of control to the point that you can't repair it. And so there are certain aspects, Raquel, depending on, some persons it might not work for some persons, but you will never know what works for you until you try it. And so I do agree with you that there are times when you have to schedule your connection time, schedule whatever it takes for me to make the relationship work and to make my spouse feel as a VIP, then I'm going to be willing to do it. Right? I'm willing to try everything until something works.
Exactly.
Right? Because there is no magic formula. There is no one size fit all. There are myriad of things that can work. Some will work for some persons, others will not.
The idea,
and that's just part of the reality of life.
That's true. The idea is just to keep the connection going.
Keep the connection.
Keep the conversation going.
Right.
And do whatever is necessary for the health and growth of the relationship.
You find, again, Raquel, that even as couples, the longer they are married, it seems that the conversation becomes less. And I mean, when you have ever talked about couples, and even you and I, you when you were dating and courting, you spent hours. I don't know if I could sit down and talk to somebody for one whole night. From sun up till sundown.
Yeah.
Right? and those things came naturally. But you find that the longer you're married, you kind of lose that conversation. Conversation is good and it's important.
It's very important.
I mean, there is absolutely nothing like having a good conversation with your spouse. And when I say conversation, your conversation doesn't have to be structured. It don't have to be about
light-hearted.
It don't have to be about world politics.
It can be just.
It can be your conversation can be about foolishness.
That's
right?
true.
But it is what keeps you connected.
Right? The elements.
So you don't have to get into any heartfelt heart-to-heart discussion that's going to rock your world, right? We're not talking. The aim is to keep the conversation going.
Yes,
right?
yes. And so as you keep the conversation going, then it lends us to segue into the element of creating a culture of appreciation.
Yes, true. Yeah.
So marriage flourish when appreciation becomes a part of the daily culture.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Very true.
It's appreciation is such a wonderful thing.
I would say never let your spouse stop feeling special. Right? Whether male or female. Never let your spouse stop feeling special. Stop feeling valued. Stop feeling appreciated. Right? And it can come in so many different forms. You're at work. Find some time to send your spouse a nonsensical text, a video like the one that I sent you the other day when you and I were keeling over. You go on TikTok and you find something that it makes you laugh. In the instant you think that, boy, if it makes me laugh, then it must make Raquel laugh too, right? Because both of us are cut from the same cloth. And so when we talk about rolling on the VIP treatment for your spouse, these are some of the things we are talking about.
Yes.
Right? It's not something that you're going to find in any textbook. Right?
Just intentional
It's
words
going
and
to
action.
Intentional words and action. I like when you put
Yes,
that.
intentional words and action that sends a message to your spouse that you matter.
That you matter.
And of course, it will be different for every husband and wife. But the idea is that you should take the time to find out what are those words and actions that make your spouse feel like a VIP.
Yes. Yeah, I remember somebody some time ago told me about a situation where they were going through some difficult periods in their marriage, and it reached a point where they could not even afford to buy each other a gift for birthday. And I remember the wife telling me that the husband wrapped a little sweet in a pretty paper and tied a bow around it and gave it to her on her birthday. And she said that of all the birthday presents that she has received in her life, that is the one that she remembers. Right? And these persons have been married for over 20 odd years. And I'm sure that there were many gifts that she would have gotten, right? And she said that of all the gifts that she has gotten, she has not remembered any of them.
Sorry.
As much as she remembered that sweet wrapped up in the paper.
Yeah, because that one is filled with humor.
Exactly.
That one is filled with intentionality and the fact that, okay, we are in a bad place in terms of finances, but it doesn't
stop the thought.
It doesn't stop the thought.
Right? It doesn't stop the appreciation.
That's right.
It doesn't stop the love. Right? It doesn't diminish the value of the relationship. Right?
And the effort.
I love you. Right? That's cool. Right? And so these are some of the simple things that we're talking about when we talk about rolling out the red carpet for your spouse. It's just simple acts. Acts of kindness, acts of appreciation, acts that show value, acts that show love. All of these things wrapped up.
And it means, it also means refusing to let the routine.
Yeah.
Refusing to let the routine take over your marriage,
Yes.
So
and that's an important one,
yes,
because routine is something that can happen to anybody. Anything can become routine.
Exactly.
Anything at all. Right? You get up and you eat the same breakfast every day, you get tired of it until you do a little. As a matter of fact, you may eat the very same ingredients for breakfast, but they are packaged a different way. And it makes the experience new.
Yes.
The same thing when it comes to relationship. It's the same person that you've seen for 25 years and the same person you've seen for 30 and 40 years. But the way that you present yourself to them and how they present themselves to you and how you present yourself to each other is what makes the difference.
Yes, definitely. So, when couples consistently make each other feel valued, the marriage will stronger.
Yes.
More joyful and more resilient.
And yes, that's right. That's
more resilient.
Right.
So you have been listening. Somebody commented.
Yes, Paula Tate says.
Talk up the truth.
Talk up the truth, Francis. Yes, that's right.
Yes.
This has been another episode of Level Up Your Marriage with Paul and Raquel Blake. And as we wrap up, we want to say to persons that you must roll out the red carpet, treat your spouse as a VIP. We want to put out a challenge to you. Choose one intentional action each day that makes your spouse feel valued and appreciated. Well, you can do more than one if you choose, but at least one.
At least
right?
one.
Choose
least one.
at least one intentional action each day that makes your spouse feel valued and appreciated. It can come in any form. A little note, a little video, something. Right? What works for one person might not work for somebody else. And what one person find funny, other people might not find it very funny. But
do something.
To each his own. Right?
But do something to roll out the red carpet.
Roll out the red carpet for your spouse.
Yes.
Starting this evening, tonight.
Right now,
going into tomorrow and to next week.
So thank you for watching. Thank you for participating. So you have been listening to Paul and Raquel Blake on Level Up Your Marriage. See you next time.
Okay, God bless.
There is love